Hi, I'm Sarah from Cornwall Chamber, and today we're joined by Joe, the founder of Bull and Wolf, for another business partner podcast. So, welcome, Joe.
Hi.
How are
Thanks.
you?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm excited to have you. I wanted to start off just to talk a little bit more about Bull and Wolf and how you've basically founded it, but just the idea behind it. Because I heard you talk about it at a brunch of ours, and
Yeah.
it was really inspiring, and it was amazing just to kind of hear that you were pretty ballsy, and yeah, you had basically you changed direction, didn't you? And it was quite a bold
Yeah.
move. So yeah, I'd love to hear about
Yeah.
that.
So Bullimor's now been going for probably about 5 years, and it's a little bit of a roundabout way to how we got to where we are, I suppose.
Yeah.
So obviously we make videos, create a video agency, and it was always meant to be that way. It started out as being just me, freelancer essentially. And I always wanted it to be something bigger than just me. So hence the brand has always been the idea that it become an agency.
Yeah.
But it was a complete zigzag. I have no didn't do media or video at uni. I did a politics and economics degree and became a management consultant for my sins. But yeah, I didn't. I hated it really. I didn't like looking at lines and lines of spreadsheets. The company I worked for were great, but I didn't like the kind of mundaneness of it, I suppose. So
Yeah.
wanted to do something creative, and actually that ended up with me working in TV in London. So worked on shows like Hunted and Celebrity Hunted, a few documentaries and Shiny Floor Entertainment type TV shows, which was great fun, and I learned a lot. And actually from that was able to kind of I'd liked photography and stuff, but I'd never really done video.
Yeah.
Was able to kind of just watch because those sort of productions were always quite small crews. Watch what was happening, learn, did the odd little bit on the side, and then basically ended up in Cornwall. And didn't want to keep going back and forth to London,
Yeah.
so decided to set up Bullenwolf basically, and eventually made the jump to be like, I'm going to commit. This is probably 2018, 2019, and have real plans to grow during 2020. But obviously, we all know what happened then and what came along, and
Yes.
but rode that wave, and now we're we've grown every year since quite significantly, and excited to keep doing so. Hopefully,
I honestly think that's amazing. And I think there's so many people that kind of do a degree, they get a job after their first graduate job. And actually, like you say, they probably hate it.
yep,
They realize they've made a bit of a mistake. But I think the difference between you and most people is that people are kind of scared to take that change and, scared what people might think when it's you obviously studied for
yeah,
something for a long
yeah.
time. So when you started off going to TV shows and everything to kind of start this whole creative journey, was that like as an intern basis?
So I started as a runner actually. So my first job was as a
Okay.
runner on Hunted. I knew someone who vaguely worked in TV, and
Okay.
that sort of they gave me some advice about actually apply for these jobs because they're coming up as runners and they don't always take people with film experience, I suppose. And I applied, got an interview, and got the job basically. And it was definitely a bit of a baptism of fire because that was kind
Yeah.
of very intense. I was basically away for 6 weeks,
Okay.
4 weeks of it more or less on the road. I think you got a day off every five, but if you're in the middle of Scotland, then the day off was in Scotland. So it was very much a
Yeah.
long days learning on the job about how to deal with all that stuff basically.
Okay.
So yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think so. Obviously, at the Chamber, we're really passionate about kind of helping the next generation,
Yes.
particularly around business. And I think myself and a few of our team were kind of quite shocked to hear how old you were, because I know that you actually were a previous winner of the 30 under 30 4 years in a row.
Yes.
I think it got to last year and we were like, how is this guy still under 30?
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
Do I
amazing
look
though.
old? Is that what yeah.
No, but in terms of what you
Yeah.
have fitted in so much and achieved so much, and
Yeah.
you're still so young. And I think in terms of people kind of looking to make the change and set up their
Yeah.
own agency, like it's really impressive. And I think obviously with Bull and Wolf and what you're creating or what you created there, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
obviously there's so many different elements to that. And I know that you're really passionate about sustainability. Obviously that's represented in the fact that you've got B Corp status.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of why you're passionate about sustainability?
Yeah. So I mean one of the things that always appealed to me with Cornwall really is that kind of some calls it not balance, it's harmony, work-life harmony, right? That
Yeah.
work is important, and I've always wanted to have a great, ambitious, in this case, creative career. But there's a balance, and I love the natural environment we've got here. I love the lifestyle in Cornwall.
Yeah.
So ever since I started Bullemorth, there was a part of it that was about understanding and being close to nature. You know the sea. You can see that. Can I swear on this? People putting on, all the shit that's going in the sea, and it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And being part of that, and then also knowing that I wanted to build a business that cared a bit more about its people and the
Yeah.
planet. B Corp was like a natural fit, and we'd always wanted to do it. Really, it was just waiting to get to the point where we could,
Yeah.
and really, really excited that we're now part of that community. Did our first impact report just in May,
Amazing.
and well, actually, start of June, even end of May, start of June, and actually, it's an amazing community to be part of. Some
Yeah.
amazing businesses, especially in Cornwall, kind of fighting that fight
Yeah.
and wanting to show that you can build a successful, profitable business, but do it in a way that looks after people and looks after the planet. And that's kind of been at the core of everything since day one, really,
Yeah.
and wanting to have that harmony between the two.
Okay, love that. Can I just ask a quick question as
Yeah,
well? Always been really interested to know,
yeah,
where did Bull and Wolf come from? Like, why did you
yes.
create? What was the reason behind the name?
That is a very good question, and so the best story I've got for where the name came from is when I was thinking of a name. So I was down here, still working in TV. I
Okay.
want to start a business, and I think it needs to have a name that's more than an agency. And at the time, you know, the sort of drone industry was really growing, and I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to do that kind of influencery build, out and about, travel the world, travel doing outdoorsy type stuff.
Yeah.
And I was actually sat in Beerwolf in Falmouth, the pub
Okay.
bookstore. I think it's probably in the daytime as well, so probably says a lot about how busy I was at the time. But I think I was just coming up with names, and my surname's Turnbull, hence the bull.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, of
I don't know.
course.
I think it was Beer. It was one of those where you sort of iterate random ideas and write
Yeah.
things out. And I was like, Bullwolf, oh, that kind of works. And then I sort of designed a logo. I've always liked doing that kind of
Okay.
graphic design thing. Showed it to a few people, and they're like, oh, that's a good name. And it kind of just stuck, and that is literally it. But the colors, brand colors, so there's like a yellow and a sort of dark blue, are actually color picked out of the eye of a wolf. So that was kind of, they
Ah,
are all
okay.
inspired by that. And actually, hopefully, very soon we're going to get some really cool hand illustrated bull and wolf sort of motifs as well. So
Oh, I love
yeah,
that. Okay,
watch the
amazing.
space.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks for telling me that.
yeah,
So obviously we've just touched
yeah,
upon sustainability, and we know that with any successful business, obviously profit is important.
yeah,
But for you, clearly, you do really care about people and have
yeah,
and the purpose behind that.
yeah,
So just separate from Bull and Wolf, in terms of kind of giving back to the community and
yeah,
being just an all-round good person,
yeah.
I know that you're also a board member for the Cornwall Community Foundation.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? And also, I think what's interesting is it's quite unusual for someone fairly young to actually be a board member for
Yeah.
that. You know, it's quite a hard thing to get into sometimes. So,
Yeah.
how did you do that? And have you got any kind of tips or advice for someone else that perhaps is under 30 or in their late, early 30s that would
Yeah.
actually like to do that?
Yeah. So that was kind of one of those opportunities that came about actually through the 13 to 30. So
Ah, okay.
Kim actually at one of the ceremonies was saying, the Corn Community Foundation, who I had heard of, were looking for a young trustee, is how they called
Okay.
it. Someone younger who could join the board and kind of contribute a slightly different view of the world, I
Yeah.
suppose. And I literally just was like, I think this is really a good fit for me. I wanted to do something that was beyond Bull and Wolf giving back,
Yeah.
and applied, went through the whole interview process. I think interviewed quite a few candidates, and got the position as a trustee.
Ah,
And to be fair, I've done it now for probably about 18 months, coming up to 2 years. The first year was a bit of a baptism of fire. I've done corporate stuff before, but it's quite a big board, lots of different
I
people from
bet.
different
Yeah.
walks of life, and it is just a different world, right? A lot of older
Yeah.
people. So it took me a little while to kind of get up to speed with where my value was, I suppose, how I could contribute, and just having a voice and feeling confident. I
Yeah.
feel like I do now, and actually, there's things where I hope I'm beginning to add real value to the charity. I
Yeah.
think people do value my input on things like marketing, that expertise. I've been quite pushy on things like the environment and
Yeah.
and how the charity measures its impact and
Hmm.
what it's trying to do. So I think that's been really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I would recommend anyone really. Actually, Tyler, who's our animator now, is just joined the board of trustees for Nuki Food Bank.
Oh, wow.
Again, as a
Okay.
sort of younger trustee.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's for charities, look for younger trustees because they're the people, most charities, the reality is they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
But in an ideal world, they're not here, right? We shouldn't need charity to be providing
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
But young people are the people that are there for the future. They can see what's
Yeah.
on the ground, and young people are actually some of the most disadvantaged, most
Yeah.
likely to be suffering from things like mental health problems, drug problems, alcohol abuse, and domestic issues. So young people on boards, and especially people from those communities that you're trying to serve, I think it's really important for charity. So if you're a young person as well who thinks, actually, I think I've got something to give or
Yeah.
value, don't underestimate yourself if there's a bunch of old trustees. Ask maybe as well. If you're involved in a charity, if you're volunteering with a charity, if you've received help from a charity, you want
Yeah.
to give back and they've changed your life in some way, you're one of the best people that can sit on that board. So,
Yeah. No, that's very good
and you can learn
advice.
when you're there. That's
That's
it.
so true. Yeah. I guess, and also it's very clear when you speak, like you are very passionate about a lot of things, and that
Yeah.
does come across, and it's really authentic, and you can kind
Yeah.
of see that you do lead with integrity, which is kind of crucial with
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, like when you do talk, obviously you are extremely knowledgeable, but you come across as very confident.
Yeah.
You know your stuff. But has it always been the case? Like, do you ever kind of have that situation where you might feel a bit anxious, but obviously you have to hide it because you do a lot of talking, you have to
Yeah.
speak in front of large audiences. Has that been something that you kind of improved with as you've gone along, or have you always found that quite natural or not?
It's a weird one. So I would have always been a chatty person. I don't know if it's a good thing or
Yeah, yeah,
not for
yeah.
it's called this thing. But so I was actually chair of the debating society at university.
Oh,
Did
wow.
politics. So
Okay.
the king nerd, someone called me once. But
Love that.
or chief nerd. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. And that involved obviously public speaking, and
Yeah.
we used to do. I was at university when we had sort of 2015 election and Brexit and all these things. So
Big topics.
big topics. You've been in front of electoral people. That was quite nerve wracking, but kind of built my confidence in that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Get a lot of imposter syndrome still. I think it's just trying to. I think I've got a lot better at just trying to be confident in myself, I suppose. So
Yeah.
I think it's still get anxious, still get nervous, but actually enjoying it, and other people, I suppose, affirming that actually that was interesting or that was good or I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. It's a confidence building thing, right? But it's
Yeah.
putting yourself out there. I think the more you do it, even like now, the more I do this sort of thing, the more I talk about what I do and Bull and Wolf, the more confident I get at doing it.
Yeah.
So that's just for me, that's just one of those. It's you've got to try it really and keep
Yeah, of
doing it. And I think
course.
you can learn public speaking if you've got a lot of people don't and find it very terrifying. We
Yeah.
get lots of people come up in front of camera. I'm sure these guys do as well. When filming videos, who can be CEOs, and the second a camera and lights are on them, they get all nervous.
Yeah.
And actually, I suppose learning from that, I've seen a lot about how to make yourself settled and
Yeah.
relax
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people. But I've mentioned quite openly before. I've struggled with anxiety all my life.
Yeah.
I have Searchly now, which helps massively, and it's probably changed my life a little bit. So I still have that. So even though I seem confident, I do
Yeah.
get the anxiety and all of those sort of things in life. And obviously, running a business is stressful, so they all come part of it. But I think that kind of belief and values about what we're trying to do that underpin everything
Yeah.
helps give you that confidence to then talk positively.
Yeah. And I guess it's that thing, when you hear somebody speak with conviction and you can tell that they are so passionate, it's almost like it is when someone speaks in that way, it's so much more believable. And I guess it's easier to be confident about something that you believe in than something you're not. And when it's your own agency, obviously you're going to be passionate about it. Just other thing I wanted to ask you, and I know that I've touched upon this already and kind of said that I think a lot of people would really see you as being really inspiring. From what you've achieved, regardless of the whole age situation, I think for what you've achieved for any age, it would be really impressive. But even more so, I think just because you kind of had the confidence just to really take that risk at the beginning and do that. And I think from like an outsider looking in to see you having your own agency with your own team, a great team, I add, doing amazing work as well. Like, the stuff you do is really, really cool.
Thank you.
Have you got any advice for someone that is maybe like me, they kind of maybe hypothetically doing something that perhaps isn't their full passion, but they've got an idea, they really want to do something else. And do you have any kind of advice or top tips to just really take that risk and actually put yourself out there and just go for it like you did?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate saying that. Inspiring and make me blush. But
Well, it's true.
I think I've obviously changed actually as well. I changed uni in between, and because I didn't like one, went to another one, and it's not an uncommon theme. But I think it's try. There is obviously people have responsibilities and mortgages and cars and kids or whatever. You might have any of those things. Dogs, and that can sometimes affect your decision. But give it a go. I don't think it's ever too late. I think there's examples of people changing careers when they're 50 or 60, and I think life has setbacks and there's always challenges and there's always obstacles. But give it a go. If you're passionate about something and you want to try something, you regret not trying it more than you regret doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I think if you can as well, don't live life with regrets. It's kind of slightly contradicts that point, but try new things and don't regret the choices you've made because you've made them. You can't change them.
Yeah.
Shape the future. It's the kind of I don't believe in fate, but pretty much 90% of your life is impacted by decisions other people make rather than your own, and you can only control what you do.
Yeah.
So put your best foot forward. Get out there. Whatever it is you want to do. In our world, it was making videos. I didn't really know how to do that. It was trying to talk to people. I've built confidence in being able to do that, and here we are. And it's literally that was just putting ourselves out there, and that could have gone either way, could have gone to shit. So
Yeah.
far it hasn't. So touch wood, it stays that way. Yeah.
Well, you're doing something right then.
Yeah.
It's so true. I suppose you're right. You know, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a risk. But I guess what's the alternative is just kind of staying in the same position and not actually doing anything. So, well, no, like I said before, I think you are very inspiring. And I think there's a lot of people that kind of hopefully will watch this and think, yeah, I need to do that and give it a go. Be ballsy. Also, I think if anyone hasn't kind of seen the work you do before, I'm sure they have. You very kindly make little roundup videos for us every month, which we put on our homepage of the website, which are really, really good. But there's so many things that you can do and so many different services. So obviously people should definitely check you out and have a chat with you.
Yes, do.
I think as well, one thing for you, a bit of a unique selling point, you are very approachable and always, really happy to chat to people. And 100%. There might be some people that kind of think I could really do with some help with some sort of content creation or something creative, but maybe don't really know where to start. So I think the options are kind of endless, aren't they, with you? So
100%. Yeah, our door's always open, come for a beer or coffee, as we always say, and have a chat. We want to also help Cornwall shine light on itself. And sometimes that's about getting everyone just, we're not the only people that make videos and not everyone needs us all the time. But if we can provide advice and help people out, then we always will.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. It's really nice to talk to you. I could talk to you all day about lots of different things. But yeah, thank you. And hopefully just this will inspire people to take a risk. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.